All right, it's 1 o'clock, and we are getting back into our game. All of its fun times. So we are coming into the end of the Magician's Workshop by Choice of Games. It is a choose your own story set in Renaissance Italy about 1512. Those of you who are not history buffs, since this is a historical fiction sort of work, 1512 is right around the time when Cardinal Giovanni de Medici returned to Florence with the backing of the Pope and a Spanish army and retook control. After he and his brothers had been exiled for a number of years. So the Medici have very recently, in the last few months, returned to power here in Florence, but we are working in a workshop. One of three senior members of a workshop. Our master, at the beginning of this story, has died mysteriously, assumed murdered. Actually, it was, I believe, accidental death, but perhaps not quite so accidental. We're not entirely certain. We weren't there at the time. We were busy. But we and the other two senior apprentices of this workshop have been trying to keep things together and keep things being done until the confraternity, the guild that controls all the workshops in Florence, decides who is the next master of the three of us. Or perhaps any two of us, or perhaps all three of us. We haven't quite gotten to the point in the story where that is chosen. So we have been going through a number of things, and we have met a number of people, and it has been a crazily intense time. However, this is where we stand stats wise in the game. Our health is at a 4%. We're not the healthiest we've ever been in our life. We're certainly not unhealthy at this point in time. Workshop morale is a touch higher than neutral. Could be higher, but it's okay. We have 15 soldi at this point in time. 20 soldi makes a lira. 120 soldi makes a florin. We're very broke, is what it comes down to. Our workshop is out of supplies. We used up the last ones to finish our commissions. As for the work, the fresco that we had on our master died is now complete. We finished the fresco, and we even finished it early. The machine that is the commission of the supernatural creature of shadow and secrets called the Monocielo we did not even decode the book, much less work on it at all. We decided, nah, it's not worth our time. Of the 5 secret commissions that our master had taken before his death and that we had never been informed of, we decided on 3 that we could finish in the week that we had to get them done. A weapon for Alfonsina Orsini, who married into the Medici family. A flying machine for Henrique of Congo, who is the Prince of Congo, by the way. And a magic purse for Lucrezia de Medici, the second eldest of the Medici siblings. Giovanni Medici being the eldest brother, and Giuliano Medici being the youngest brother, as or I should say Alfonsina Orsini's dead husband being the younger brother. Her son, Giuliano Medici, is currently in charge of the Republic of Florence. And yeah, the Medici family are the Medici family. But it is coming to clarity that it is not simply support the Medici or support their enemies. It is now, which Medici do you support? In the next few years, that will become very relevant, historically speaking. As for our skills, our magic skills are thus: alchemy is our weakest skill. We vaguely dabble in it. Animation is our second weakest skill. We are almost solid in it. And soothsaying, we are a solid soothsayer. We're not an exceptional one, but we're definitely solidly a soothsayer. As for our practical skills, our reasoning is we dabble. Our artistry and dexterity is fairly neutrally mediocre. Our confidence is we're But our guile is almost solid, and our strength is a nice, solid number. As for our traits that shift as we go about things, we are just slightly more adaptable than stubborn, but we're very eccentric and not quite so charming. We're slightly more cautious than we are bold, but we have a ton of goodwill and not so much grumpiness or misanthropy. We're quite into humanism and not so much a faithful person, and we are more democracy leaning than orderly. So that is our personality, as it were. As for the relationships that we have, Piero and Fiammetta are two of our uh, the two other top apprentices that we've been trying to run this workshop for the last week with. Currently, they're not so pleased with us because we said some things that they did not like. Piero is strongest in alchemy. Fiammetta is strongest in animation. We are strongest in soothsaying. So the three of us together actually do make a rather good team. Andrea is a androgynous who is also somewhat a soothsayer, but is very much kind of middle management between us and the other apprentices. They have their thumb on the pulse of what the workshop thinks, and they are one of the most requested, I should say, models in Florence, not just by our workshop, but by every workshop. So they are a very good source of information, and we've become a bit friendly with them. Stella de Firenze is our mother, and mother loves us. That's all. Giovanni de Medici is slightly fond, as is Niccolo Machiavelli slightly fond. You will never see these two gentlemen in the same room. They would attempt to kill each other. Primarily because up until Giovanni de Medici came back, Niccolo Machiavelli was in charge of Florence and has been exiled to just outside so that they can keep an eye on him because he's dangerous. They're not wrong. Dangerous Clement is one of our 5 secret commissioners. She actually solidly likes us. She is also the Queen of Thieves of Florence, the person in charge of the underworld, of the criminal element, so to speak. Nothing criminally happens in Florence without her knowing about it. Unfortunately, because our master's death was not something that people wanted or had arranged, she didn't know about it. So we know that it's not necessarily murder, more likely to be accidental death. The Monticello, as has been mentioned before, is a supernatural creature of shadows and secrets, and practically the most dangerous thing we've ever encountered, and it's neutral on our existence for now. Julia, our best buddy, who she is from a noble family, but she went into the Civapex a Civapex in this story is a person who uses soothsaying to understand the moods of things and can give percentages of, 54% of people want the Republic, that kind of thing. They're very useful for the politicians to running the city to figure out what the mood of the people of Florence are and exactly how much esteem that they have in their reputation. It's really useful. Hey, Trav, welcome in, welcome in. Glad you could come. But yeah, so as you can see, our bestie is not exactly happy with us. Not exactly unhappy with us, but not exactly happy with us. We got into some trouble recently while we were trying to cheer them up. It didn't work out so well. Um, Alfonsina Orsini likes us a great deal. We have been able to tell her that we finished her commission. She had a favorable understanding of us when we met her. It's been all hunky dory. So hopefully that helps us some in the thing. But her commission was one of the 5 secret ones. Lucrezia de Medici is not very happy with us. We were not nearly charming enough for her. But her commission is finished. So hopefully she'll be a little bit happier with us in the near future. We can cross our fingers. But yes, she also had one of the secret commissions, one we finished. Henrique of Congo is slightly fond of us, and we have finished his commission as well. So hopefully he'll be slightly more fond of us in the near future. And then Judah Leon Abravanel, who happens to be someone our mother knows or knows of at the very least. They know of each other, I suppose. They're not exactly necessarily friends, but they run kind of in the same circles as they're both soothsayers. And he also has a secret commission with us, but we didn't do his. Whoopsie daisies. Maybe Winter Fairy, or we might be able to take it for ourselves. Who knows? We're a bit short of high end friendships, yes. It's a little bit, oh dear. But we'll get through it. As for our reputation, the Medici respect us just a tiny amount. The confraternity is fairly neutral on us. The people of Florence solidly like us. Solidly like us. The respect of the workshop is very neutral, unfortunately. So it's going to get rough before it gets better at this point. But here we are. So this is what we have. We managed to get. We only have 4 out of 18 possible achievements. Only 2 of which we've actually managed this second run. And 3 of which we managed the first run. We've actually gotten get a good start on the fresco twice. That's all we've done. We did manage to finish the fresco early this time around. So back to the story, shall we? So yeah, we're on chapter 9. Decisions. Charm does indeed help. Charm does indeed. Well, here's the thing. Charm and eccentricity both help in certain aspects. We do not have a build that is balanced for pleasing everyone. And in fact, I do not believe it is possible to have that build without cheating. And I don't know how to cheat on this game, so we're going to move on. There aren't many times when the workshop is empty. There are always urgent jobs that require someone to put in odd hours. Sometimes there's a pod of oak galls or sea snails or something else slightly nasty that requires tending, or elbow getting clogged, or a potion that threatens to create a gaseous poison if a magician doesn't keep a stern eye on it. It's also a sad fact that many of the apprentices don't have anywhere else to go. The money they earn here is enough to keep them in room and board, just barely. But many have newly left homes and families that didn't treat them well, and they have yet to find new places to live. Florence is full of tiny convents and monasteries for the lost lambs of the city. It is also full of workshops, and the workshops can serve a similar function. On this morning, though, the last one before the day the community makes its, the floor of the workshop is silent, the dust motes floating peacefully in the early morning shaft of pale sunlight. You can smell the wood and the stone dust. Andrea. At the table in the middle, Andrea is sitting, staring up at a statue. They're wearing which you've never seen them do. Good morning, you say brightly from a distance, so as not to startle them. To you and smile. You're up early. So are you. What on earth are you wearing? I've never known you to wear spectacles before. Piero gave them to me. He says they're not magic at all, but I don't see how a bit of glass can change what I see. I like it, but I have to admit that my eyes ache after a while. Andrea takes the spectacles off and rubs the bridge of their nose. Perhaps I wasn't meant to see clearly. Ha! You see more clearly than anyone I know, with or without spectacles. May I have a look? Andrea hands you the spectacles. There are 2 clear lenses set in iron circles with a hinge in the middle connecting them. They're designed to pinch the nose and stay on, with a little guidance from the wearer, but you suspect they've been slipping too far down the nose. Would you like me to try and fix them to get rid of the headaches? Oh, that would be wonderful if you can, Andrea says, but I don't want to break them. They do work well otherwise. So, can we fix them with a little agility if we're careful? Can we adapt an animation spell that we've used on scissors? Or is friendship doesn't always mean fixing other people's problems? I'll commiserate with charm and goodwill. We know we don't have the charm, but we definitely do have the goodwill. I would not suggest the third option, considering we did that last time. But 1, 2, or 3, dexterity, animation, or goodwill. What shall we choose, chat? You know the drill. Numbers or keywords, I will accept either. I always love to hear from my chat. um, Adaption, it's low. I mean, it's better than stubbornness, but I believe this is more of an animation issue than an adaption issue. We can try it. Um, we don't have the dexterity to pull off number 1. But, but our goodwill is high even if our charm is very low. I'm not sure that that will work out. Um and animation. Fix them with a little adjustment. I think that's dexterity or could be reasoning and caution. Not entirely certain. Not entirely certain. But it's 1, 2, or 3. Fix, adapt, friendship. I've changed the keywords. Fix, adapt, or friendship. What we doing, chat? What we doing? Please tell me. Me, please. Winter Fairy says 2. Adaptation and animation. Dexterity and caution or goodwill and charm. Think the 2s have it. We will adapt an animation spell that we've used on scissors and hope. The spell is enough. Try that, you say, handing the repaired spectacles back to them. Andrea fits them onto the bridge of their lovely nose. That does fit a little better. I imagine this will help with the eye strain. Thank you, Principia. I'm in your debt. Not at all. I'm always happy to help a friend. Andrea up, tucking them into a pocket. Tomorrow, the confraternity makes its decision, they say. You nod. I'm sure they'll choose the best person for the job. Andrea snorts. They'll choose whoever makes them the least nervous, but they should at least take the workshop's opinion. What is the workshop's opinion? You hear everything that goes on here, and the apprentices stop whispering whenever I approach. Do they? Well, if they're whispering about you, that can't be good. Andrea looks at you with a wry expression. You're mocking me. Yes, but to be honest, the workshop isn't quite sure what to make of you. It's been a difficult time lately. Us. You nod. Thank you for your candor. We have one last chance to finish the commissions today, and perhaps I can help raise their opinion of me a little while we work. The apprentices. We got an achievement, finished 3 commissions. Nice. We did it. We did it, chat. We finished all 3. There's a creak on one of the staircases, and the back and front doors bang open. Apprentices come pouring into the workshop, bringing the noise and light of a Florentine morning with them. They're noisy, but not as noisy as usual. The loudest thing in the room is the unspoken awareness that this is the last day before a new era begins. Piero and Fiammetta arrive, each of them chattering intently to their teams, giving them instructions for the day. There might be a way for the 3 of you to carry on working as a team, if you can convince the confraternity that the workshop should have 3 masters rather than 1, and if Piero and Fiammetta are willing, which would be the best for you and the workshop. To be master alone or to be part of a triumvirate. Of course, whatever you choose, the confraternity might not grant it. If Piero or Fiammetta becomes master without you, will you stay in the workshop elsewhere to make your fortune? You've finished 3 commissions, which is as much as anyone could have done in the time allotted. That means 2 clients will be disappointed. But running a workshop isn't really about doing the impossible. It's about seeing clearly what is possible and making the hard choices to turn the possible into reality. You've done excellent work this week, despite all the uncertainty, you tell your team. We should do something to mark the day. I'd like to decorate the place, Angelo says, looking around the workshop. The moss and mugwort teams come. Few of them nod in agreement. As long, working together, Stefano says. A freshly painted new sign would make the people of Florence happy. Clients complain that they can't find the place, and the old sign is peeling and faded. Or you could strew garlands of fresh flowers in the Medici colors. That would impress the most powerful city in the family. is more practical. They'd appreciate it most if you spent the time cleaning the workshop. So, our reputations are slight reputation, 55%, with the Medici, a neutral 50% with the confraternity. Cleaning this place will only probably get us up to 55%. We have a solid 61% with the people of Florence already. Having only their want of us may not get us to be in charge. However, if we bump up what the Medici feel about us by decorating with the Medici colors, we might be able to get 2 out of the 4 factions happier with us. And it's possible that we might be able to get a 50 with the workshop as well before the end of this section of the chapter. That is my breakdown. What does chat want? Medici, people, or confraternity? Medici, people, or guild? 1, 2, or 3. What does chat want? What shall we do, chat? Please, tell me. Tell me, please. Travis started off the vote with 1, Medici. Yes, lots of flowers by the sound of it. I mean, that's, I think, our best bet is having some amount of rapport with 2 out of the 4 factions. Might get us something that we want. Might. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. I guess 1, but what goodwill will do when our relationships suck? You know, we don't know. But it could get us to become the master of the workshop ourselves. Do we need Fiammetta and Piero? No. Would they be nice to have? Yes. Are we in good with either of them? No. Eh. But the ones have it. So let's decorate the place with flowers in the Medici colors. It's hard to say how powerful your mother's soothsaying abilities really are. More powerful than anyone, but she knows, you'd guess. More powerful than anyone, but she knows, you guess. Sometimes she gets flashes of things just by putting her hand onto objects, flashes of pasts or futures that no one has asked her to read. When you were a child, she told you the true meaning of the Medici coat of arms, with its 5 red balls on a golden shield and 1 blue ball at the top. There are various theories about the origins of this symbol. Some people think it has to do with the medical field in some way, representing pills perhaps. Others, including most young Medici men, insist it represents something else, perhaps dents on a shield. The more common theory is that the balls were once coins. They are bankers, after all. Your mother knows the real story. Before the Medici rose to power, a young Medici rake used to make his wine money by placing bets in taverns about whether he could or could not accomplish particular tricks. He was, secretly, a halfway decent magician, which was how he managed to do things like balance an egg on his nose or guess a number. Of course, magic was the first thing anyone suspected, but he managed to make it look as though he was just competent enough to get lucky without it. Besides, wouldn't anyone with halfway decent magical skill be putting it to use somewhere other than a tavern? Human minds can be difficult to understand, even for those who can read them. One day, this young Medici trickster bet a colleague that he could juggle 6 balls. His actual skill only extended to 5, so he animated the 6 to keep it in the air and in the appropriate pattern, thinking no one would notice. The problem was that he was a little worse for wine that night and forgot the animation spell after a while, leaving the 6th ball just hanging in the air. Rather than be ashamed, he was perversely proud of that story ever after. And it became a symbol for a family for which any means to an end will do just fine. The apprentices gather great bundles of lilies, the flowers of Florence, and use a little alchemy to color them red, blue, and gold. They arrange the red ones and some blue ones in balls and hang them, animated in the air. Garlands of golden lilies hang from the railings and rafters. The word will spread among the Medici, and it won't take long. You notice one young apprentice slip out, probably hoping to be the first to tell his Medici masters. The family has its even here, especially here. And the fact that we've done both the Medici commissions probably will help us. The usually sunny workshop darkens suddenly. It goes quiet. It's just a cloud over the sun, Piero says. But you spot something out of the corner of your eye, a shadow in one dark corner of the workshop that grows, then takes the shape of a man in a hat. The last thing you need is the Monticello here, frightening the apprentices, or worse, recruiting them into one of his plans. You dash into the corner and pull across one of the screens the models use for changing behind. You're now hidden from view of the rest of the workshop, and the noise behind you tells you the apprentices are beginning their celebrations of work well done, but you still speak in whispers. Why have you come? You ask. You know why, the Monticello says. My machine. I didn't build your machine. You won't be able to cull any secrets from the people of Florence. The Monticello hisses. You'll regret that choice, but it doesn't matter. I'll get my secrets. I had another magician build it for me. You're shocked silent for a moment. Another magician? Someone you know, I think. The other magician. Piero steps around the screen. See, I called it. I knew it was going to be Piero this time instead of Fiammetta. You gasp. Piero, I can't believe you would do this. What did you expect? Piero says, frustrated. You've been pushing me to the side since the master died. Suddenly I realize that without him, I'm alone here. We know full well in Florence that they that control the secrets have the power. I'd rather it be me than you or Fiammetta. You shake your head. How did you even know about the plans for the machine? Piero scoffs. The master didn't keep as many secrets from me as he did from you two. I knew there were plans in a notebook, and I suspected you'd found it, so I went looking for it. So, are we not just disappointed but angry? Do we think that he thinks this will bring him power, but he's wrong, or we all do what we have to do to survive, which is which is the choice we made last time with Fiammetta. So 1, 2, or 3: angry, wrong, survive. Yeah, they're all true. But which one is the truest in this moment? Trav, chat. What will we do? 1, 2, or 3: angry, wrong, survive. Numbers or keywords? You tell me. Winter Fairy. He's only right like 99% of the time. Because you did all the work and now we're going to take it. This will bring you power, but you're wrong. Less than that. That's not true, Trav. You are correct 99.9% of the time. It's just that niggling 0.1% that you have troubles with. Oh, Miss Ma'am. Miss Ma'am, we love you. So much time saved by not bothering with the machine. I know. The machine, yeah. I have thoughts and feelings about the machine. We'll talk about it later. So yes, you think this will bring you power, but you're wrong. It will bring me secrets, Piero says. It will bring me knowledge. There's a reason the master was working on this. There's a reason the master died. At least come and see it, he says with a pained look on his face. It's beautiful. Beyond the screen, the apprentices are getting quiet. Soon, someone will come looking for you, and you'd rather they didn't all encounter the Monticello. Let's go, you mutter. Show me, then. Arrow out the back door to a nearby alley, and you step into the Piazza di Santa Maria Novella. In the middle of it squats a huge construction of wood and copper. It must have somehow emerged from one of the narrow alleys that feed the piazza. The idea of such a big device moving so silently and stealthily gives you shivers. Obviously, it wasn't clouds that had passed by the doorway. AKA, FYI. For those who didn't catch that, Piero is the one who said, it's just clouds passing by. It really was not. It was the machine passing by on the way to the piazza from wherever he was building it. It looks like a giant spider with wooden legs reaching directions. All along each leg, tiny copper spikes shine. The two front legs are always in motion, as if gathering or working, and all around it, skeins of mist fly in like wisps off the river in the morning. But this is no ordinary mist. It coalesces around the copper spikes and thickens into pale discs. The Monticello pulls off one of these discs and reads, "My apologies for the barking in the background. Dixie's just letting us know that there is someone at the door. She's a protective little cutie." The Monticello pulls off one of these discs and reads, "How interesting. Francesca trying to make a love spell. One of your apprentices, isn't she? Well, now you know. Let's see. There's another one here. Giovanni Romano stole a fig from the market last Tuesday. Isn't he your neighbor's brat? He'll have to be whipped." You shake your head. "Here's one about you," the Monticello says, plucking off another. "Principia di Firenze has been secretly decoding a book belonging to their former master. Won't the apprentices love to learn that one? It's hard to see how they could trust you." "It wasn't like that," you protest. "It's not a secret. It's not Of course, secrets are not shameful," Yellow crows. "They're the most beautiful thing in the world. They feed me. They help me. Everyone I learn gives me power, and I will share that power with my friends and use it against my enemies. So the question for you, Principia, is whether you are a friend or an enemy." You think quickly. "Yeah, we started. We didn't ever finish. You and the machine." Um, yeah, we started decoding the book primarily to figure out what in the world it was, but when we figured out what it was, we were like, "Nah, we don't need to deal with this anymore." So honestly, it's not much of a secret because we told Fiametta what we were doing. We may not have told her that we stopped doing it, but we did tell her going on. So clearly, it's not a secret. It's just kind of a secret, kind of a secret. Anyway. You could let the Monticello have his way, but that means the workshop could become the Monticello's in all but name. Whether you try to undermine or destroy the machine, you won't be able to help Julia or anyone else from the consequences, and you'll have made a real enemy of the Monticello. The machine is too big to destroy on your own, and you suspect that some of those legs and spikes are for self-defense. You'd need help, a lot of help. The apprentices could do it, but will the workshop stand with you? The people of Florence have shown before that they can create or destroy on a grand scale. All you need is something on the scale of the bonfires of the vanities. Would the people do as you ask, though? Or perhaps you could work with the Monticello, harvesting secrets and using them for power. You could lose many of your relationships because no one will trust you, but at least you'll be powerful. You wouldn't need Confraternity or the Medici to ensure you take control of the workshop, because you'll have leverage. It is better to be feared than love, Machiavelli always says. You feel good physically, your mind is clear, and you are well rested, which makes it easier to think. It'll be a big decision. The longer you take to decide, the more angry the Monticello will become. To try and make the decision more quickly, you rely on your head, which is reason, heart, which is health, I think, or gut, which is strength. I could have heart and gut flipped, not entirely certain. Trav starts the vote out with 3. Gut reaction. We're strong and fairly sturdy. We're not so good at personal interactions or reason, but core instincts and feelings, we're pretty solid there. Heart is more likely goodwill or something else social. Well, it's said that we feel good physically, our mind is clear, and you are well rested. So the way that those are talked about is feel good physically is either is usually strength, clear mind is usually reason, well rested is usually health, but it also could be a combination of two. So feel good physically could be strength and dexterity, your mind is clear could be reason and um confidence, and health could also be not entirely certain or health and Goodwill, maybe. I don't know. It's really hard to say. It's not clear here what stats are going, but it looks like the threes have it. We're going with our gut this time. I think we went with our head last time. Going with our gut. The Monticello grows impatient as you ponder all the factors. It comes down to what you're willing to sacrifice and how you feel about the people around you. Is individual freedom more important than public order? Then smash the machine. Of course, the machine's power depends on people's willingness to trade on secrets and be cruel. You could try to undermine the Monticello and make the machine irrelevant rather than smashing it by persuading Florentines to just ignore it. That's too big to do on your own, though. You'd need to work with at least two people who already know what the Monticello is and how dangerous he is. Your mother knows if she's willing to help you. Fiametta knows, thanks to your conversation about it. Piero built the machine, but perhaps he trusts you enough to realize that it was a mistake. There might be others in Florence who know about the Monticello, but you haven't learned about it if so. Or perhaps you think the machine could serve a useful purpose in Florence. Do human beings need order and transparency to be saved from and learn from their own mistakes? Then use the machine, working with the Monticello to further your own vision on how Florence ought to be. We never had the conversation that says Dangerous knows. We don't know that Dangerous knows, is the point that they're saying. We don't know. Well, I should say, Principia doesn't know. We do. That's the point, though. So, what are we going to do, chat? This is a big choice. We could use the machine. Power trumps everything. We could try to work with at least two people to undermine the Monticello. We do not have high enough relationships with two people to do that. But I believe we could smash the machine. The people of Florence will help us, which we do have the reputation for. Or we could smash the machine. The apprentices will help us. I do not believe we have the reputation for that one. Monticello is already unhappy with us. But we do have the respect of the people. We do not have the respect of the workshop. We do have the respect of the Medici, though. So, use the machine. Attempt to work with two people who know, but we don't have the relationship we need. Our mother's relationship with us is pretty high. Fiametta's relationship with us is not high enough. Piero's relationship with us is not high enough. The people of Florence will help us smash it. We do. I believe we do. We can clear that one. The apprentices of the workshop will help us smash it. We do not have. So we have the capability for 3 out of the 4 of these things. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Machine, help, the people, or the apprentices. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Big decision, chat. Big decision. Dibs probably needs reason or some other brain stuff, though, but could be fun to grab it. Yeah. I believe that this choice allows us to make a second choice to see if we can the challenge. This is the choice of what challenge we are willing to try and clear. The next choice will be how we clear the challenge. So, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Winter Fairy says 3, that we should attempt to clear the challenge by using our the love, which is what we did last time, Winter Fairy. Like, we will be going over story we have seen before if we do that again. It is our most probable win. Doesn't mean it won't be as interesting because we've seen it before. Yeah, 3 is our best chance. However, we could attempt number 1 and see how that goes, because we have options when it comes to using the machine. We could side with the Monticello, period, and let the Monticello rule us and be in charge of the workshop and the whole 9 yards. We could also attempt to wrest the machine from the Monticello in some way as well. I don't know. We've never had that choice. What's the worst that could happen? Utter disaster. Yeah, basically. We could attempt the very hard work with at least two people to undermine the Monticello. We have maybe a 50-50% chance to do it. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not sure we have enough to clear it, but we could try. Um, it will be just as interesting to see how we fail in this as it will be to see how we succeed. But if we go with Smash the Machine using the people of Florence, we've done that before. We did manage to do it last time. So, that being said, chat, what do we still want 3? I'm guessing this means that Chad is still dead set on winning the game. I mean, for a given value of winning, it is a choose your own adventure story. What better form of democracy is there than to know what everyone thinks and wants? How better to help them? All right, let's use we'll use the machine. Let's use the machine. Here we go. I'm going to do this just because I think it's fun. Are you sure? Piero won't judge you. He built the machine after all. But Dangerous and Fiametta know what the Monticello's been up to, and that you had chances to make things turn out differently. You and Piero will both be working for the Monticello now. Machiavelli will not lose respect for you. After all, he taught you to do what you have to do. Your mother and Julia won't understand. Andrea? Andrea may be the one person you'd be willing to believe doesn't have many secrets of their own, but they hate bullies. They'll absolutely hate the machine and everything it stands for. So we have the chance to back out. Are we going to work with the Monticello, or are we going to back out and try to undermine or smash the machine? I wanted to try something new, Trav. I don't necessarily like the Monticello. So, we have the chance to back out. Are we in or are we out? Are we going to try this or are we going to try something else? It's letting us choose again. What are we doing? 1, obviously. We did choose it. Well, I did. All right, let's go full bad. We're going. I want to see. Did it change? No, Piero's still unhappy with us. I was curious. All right, here we go. We're in it. It's gonna go badly. Here we go. I'm sure I'll work with the Monticello to gather secrets. How do we use the machine, you ask? It's hard to say how you can read an expression on a face that you can't quite ever see, veiled as it is in shadow from that broad brimmed hat. But somehow you get the impression that the Monticello is looking at you with a mix of triumph and pride. Ask it a question. Indulge your curiosity. Any question will do, so long as it has to do with one of the groups that hold power in this place. So, do we ask, how did the Medici really win their way back into power in Florence? What happens behind closed doors in the guild halls and the government? Or what do the priests hear in confession? 1, 2, or 3. Medici guild priests. Now I'm curious again. Oh, Fiametta's mad. Monticello's happy. Oof, that hurt. That hurt. 2? I don't actually care about any of those. There's much more interesting practical things to ask. What we're asking here is Medici reputation, guild reputation, people reputation. Like that's what this question is. So let's see here. we have an almost solid respect for for the Medici, but we're still neutral in the confraternity. We have a solid respect to the people. We do not have the workshop. So we could gain confraternity respect, or we could up people or Medici higher. That is literally what this choice is about. So Medici Guild priests. Trav has already sort of voted for Guild. Guild it is. What happens behind closed doors in the guild halls and the government? You whisper your question. The machine lifts one of its appendages and it waves it in the air like a tentacle, stirring the fog. Finally, it thrusts the leg towards you and you take a step back, then see a bit of fog like a barnacle flattening into soft rag paper. The Monticello gestures for you to take it, and you do, feeling as though you should thank the machine or pat it like a dog. Its leg just waits in the air as if anticipating further instruction. Read the paper. The paper reads, the government of Florence is always the same, and it is ever changing. One of the many paradoxes of this city of vice and virtue, this city of monstrous beauty. Every 2 months, the members of the Signora are chosen by lottery. The names of several thousand men are put into 8 leather bags at the Santa Croce church, and one name is drawn out of each. Those men must immediately move into the Palazzo del Signora, where they spend the next 2 months making decisions about the governance of Florence. But it isn't entirely random. To have one's name eligible for the lottery, one must be a member of one of the city's major guilds. One must also have one's name in the bags, and the Medici have long had ways of ensuring that certain families and certain people are ineligible. When Cardinal Giovanni returned, he simply had some names pulled out, so that the only people whose names remain in the bags are those of the Medici supporters. He wants everyone to know that he's in charge. The guilds have to step more lightly. None of them want the others to get too much influence. Everyone still knows the stories about the riots that began with the Wool Workers Guild demanding entry to the Signora a few generations ago. A seat in the Signora, sorry, my Italian is terrible, means power for the guilds, which means that no one guild should have too many seats. There are complicated mechanisms in place to ensure a rough division among certain kinds of trade. But confraternity. Unlike the Medici, the confraternity cannot be seen to be rigging the elections. It has to use magic, and it does. Most of the time, the bags are kept locked up, but when the official reaches his hand into the bag, for a brief moment, a single name, the name of the confraternity's desired candidate, appears on each, and then the next moment, the original names return. The confraternity of artisans and magicians depends even more than most on a good relationship with all who are naturally suspicious of them and who supply the magical ingredients that make alchemy possible, the crystals used by soothsayers, and the raw materials animated by the animators. And now you know their secret. You turn to Piero. You must have earned a reward for building this, you say. I did. The reward was that Piero's. The reward that was Piero's could have been, Cielo hisses, but the real reward will unfold over time for both of you. The ability to control everyone in this city, to shine a light of overwhelming brightness on whatever you like, a light that will make the shadows all the deeper everywhere else. Do we thank the Monticello kindly for the honor? Do we smile at the Monticello, keeping our true feelings to ourselves? We'll make the machine our own. Or do we scowl? We may have built the machine, but that doesn't mean we like working with the Monticello. 1, 2, or 3. Thank, smile, scowl. How shall we react to this moment? What do we do, chat? What do we do? 2 is a secret, and therefore they'd know that quickly and easily. Then again, it should be obvious that we want that anyway. Everyone is saying 2. We have enough Stu saying we might be able to keep it away from the Monticellos knowing, but we shall see. I smile at the Monticello, keeping my true feelings to myself. I'll make the machine my own. He steps close to you and sniffs the air, as though trying to get the measure of you. You stand perfectly still and listen to your heartbeat until he steps back and sighs. Humans, he says cryptically. No, he knows. You feel a hand at your elbow and turn to see Andrea, looking concerned. Is everything all right? They ask, gazing up at the machine looming over the piazza. The Monticello has slipped away somewhere. Yes, you say with a grin. Everything will be better now. Believe me. I don't believe. I can hardly believe the change that's coming over you. I'm the same person I always was, you protest. Andrea shakes their head. Just remember that I was once your friend, they say, whatever happens now. Ooh, Andrea's mad. Let's find out how mad. Oh, they're a bit mad. Mom is a bit mad. Oh, she still loves us though. Just barely. Fiametta, fuming. We have lost our love. Sorry, guys. Dangerous, not so happy either. I don't think we're gonna be we're not gonna be getting anyone's love today. The apprentices decide. In the workshop, you find the apprentices milling about, restless after the excitement and uncertainty in the piazza. Francesca grabs a hold of a pillar and swings up to stand on top of a work table. Everyone listen, she says, but there's too much noise. You step forward, hoping that your presence will quiet them down and remind them of your leadership qualities. Do we use confidence to give us control over any room? We don't have any confidence. Do we use our eccentricity to keep the apprentices always aware of what we're doing, which we do have? Or do we believe in order? And order, we do not have the order for this one. 1, 2, or 3, confidence, eccentricity, or order. Yeah, Fiametta was more trouble than she was worth. We didn't go all in on Fiametta, otherwise we could have turned it around. That was our problem. But yes, Trev, we do have mad stylio, so eccentricity it is. We are going with option 2. You leap up onto a table and start reciting Dante, not loudly, but a hush falls on the workshop, and the apprentices all look at you. Some smile, and others look thoughtful. You gesture to Francesca to continue. She nods in thanks and carries on. Tomorrow, the confraternity will assign a new master for the workshop. It will make its own decisions for its own reasons, but it will consider the wishes of the workshop. So we need to decide now what those wishes are, so we can speak with one voice. When have the apprentices of this workshop ever spoken with one voice? Says Ignacio, half jokingly, but as if to prove his point, the apprentices all start speaking at once. You and Piero and Fiametta glance at each other. This is for the apprentices to settle amongst themselves. At last, Francesca succeeds in getting something close enough to silence that she can call for a vote. Of the 36 apprentices, assistants, models, and other workers, you get 20 votes. Piero and Fiametta get 8 votes each. Oh, goodness, guys. We are in charge, yo. You see suspicion and mistrust in Fiametta's eyes, although Piero is more stoic. You might have worked with her once, but now you've chosen your own way with the Monticello. You don't need her. You have a powerful secret, and tomorrow, if need be, you can use it to your advantage. If anyone influential in the city doesn't support you, you can put pressure on them. But are you the kind of person who can do that sort of thing? Hey, Dragon, welcome in, welcome in. Glad you could make it. Yeah, they like us for why? I actually don't think it's necessarily that we have the reputation of they like us, but that we are effective and we get things done. So I'm not sure I'm not sure how the votes are counted up. It's certainly that you get more votes if you have a higher reputation with them, certainly, but there are other factors in play of how you handle situations, like calming them down or convincing them in other places that gain us votes along the chapters. And then we have a number of votes. Piero and Fiammetta get votes whenever we fail something. So we clearly uh have succeeded in more challenges than failed, is I think how this vote gets made. But I don't really know what the system is behind the scenes. Anyway, you can harden your heart so that you'll be able to do what needs to be done, or you can ask God for forgiveness in advance. If you could stop wondering about consequences, that might make it easier to act. If you're bold enough, or have enough faith or misanthropy, or if you can use humanism to justify your actions, you can wield the machine as you see fit. You'll need those qualities in abundance. So, um, I think it's misanthropy, faith, or perhaps stubbornness, faith, boldness, and humanism. Yeah, stubborn, faith, bold, humanism. What we have is humanism. So if we go to our traits, faith and humanism is higher. Boldness and caution aren't going to be helpful. Goodwill and misanthropy. This is where we're at, guys. Winter Fairy started off the vote for number 1, harden our heart. I don't think that's a good idea. We have the humanism. Yeah, it's misanthropy, faith, boldness, and humanism. That's what we're looking at. We did not go for misanthropy, which is being grumpy all the time. We do not have faith in God. We have humanism. We are not bold. We are slightly cautious. So humanism is our best bet here, unless we want to fail this one. But we have a vote for 1 and a vote for 4. Dragon, do you want to weigh in on that vote at all? You would be the tiebreaker between 1 and 4. Humanism it is. I'm making the choice. Humanity is at its best when there are institutions to hold people to account, to encourage transparency and integrity. You will use the machine as a light to shine into the dark corners of the city and clear out corruption and malfeasance. You are a definite contender, but the will of the workshop is anything but clear. You could make sure more of the apprentices are behind you if you put yourself forward as a partnership with Piero or Fiammetta. Fiammetta is angry with you for using the machine. No matter what you choose, the confraternity will still have to make its decision. Working with one of them will get you a little more support. Have you shown yourself to be a potential collaborator over the last little while? If so, you might be able to make your case. You've been open to the team during this interim phase, but what about the future? We do not have we no longer have the ability to ask Fiammetta to be a partner with us. We could, of course, ask Piero to be our partner as co-master of the workshop, and he would probably do it because he's already received his reward for making the machine, and is willing to work with us. We have at least enough rapport to ask him. Or we could just be the master alone if the confraternity wills it. And we have a piece of a secret to wield against the confraternity if they don't. So we could take the workshop for ourselves this time, guys. We could do it. So let's see here. Yeah, Piero is at 45. Fiammetta is under 40%. She will not work with us anymore. She's angry with us. Piero is neutral enough that we might be able to sway him, and then our relationship with him will go up. That's what we got. We have received we have 3 out of the 4 respects that we need to become master alone. We don't actually need Piero if we don't want him. It's the writing has inferred that he might be willing to do it. Might being the key word here. But we could be master alone this time and just be like, we're in charge, bitches. I don't know. We don't know what the Monticello's gift to Piero is. Winter Fairy says 2. Master. Does Trav and Dragon agree? Trav agrees. And we shall rename this workshop Secret Workings. It has a nice ring to it. Actually, I believe the workshop will be known as Principia, the workshop of Principia di Firenze after this. F the other two and F the Monticello. Hey, look, we are humanism. We're doing this for humanistic reasons, for the reasons of humanity. So, like, you know, we're not gonna be too terribly corrupt. We're gonna try to weed that out. Thank you. I'll be master alone if the confraternity wills it. When the confraternity makes its decision tomorrow, it will consider you alone. You have the workshop's support, although that won't be the only factor the confraternity will consider. The confraternity will take into account the machinations of the Medici family, your reputation in Florence at large, and their own internal assessment of your work, in addition to the feeling in the workshop. Luckily, you have a secret weapon that will make the confraternity more inclined to stay on your good side: the machine. We could indeed specialize in clothing or specialty items for quinky people. They'll also consider whether you've made your clients happy. First thing in the morning, you'll face Henrique of Congo, Alfonsina Orsini, Judah Abravanel, Dangerous Claudia de Medici, and some of them will be disappointed. Sweet dreams. Just as you're about to go to sleep, you hear someone rapping on your door. It's Julia, slightly out of breath. What is it? Is it true what I've heard about you and that infernal machine? You hold out your hand. It's a blessing, Julia. It really is. Julia folds her arms. Convince me. Do we say, screw you, bestie, and say, I think not. I have the machine and that's all I need, and that and a good night's sleep? Do you say, surely Julia can follow my reasoning about why it's good for the city? Or should we say, peace is only possible with order? Julia must understand that. The third choice is definitely an order trait, which we don't have. We're more of a democracy person. The first one is definitely, I think, misanthropy, and the second one might be goodwill, I think. I don't think we're useless at 2. I actually think 2 is our best bet here, Trav. Honestly, I think 2 is our best bet. But it's 1, 2, or 3 chat. The machine, reasoning, or order. 1, 2, or 3. Look, it is a group choice here. I depend on chat. If you want to go with number 1, Trav, you vote 1. I won't stop you. But everyone else gets to weigh in as well. Number 1 choice is the power of the machine has gone straight to our ego. It's the dick move. We're not misanthropic enough for that move to work or be effective, but it is the dick move. If we want to be a dick, we can be. I actually think that we're probably okay with 2. Our bestie wants to understand. I'm willing to give bestie the understanding. I don't think it's, well, it might be real. These could all be doubles. The last one could be confidence and order. The first one could be misanthropy and something. I'm not entirely certain. But I actually think that our best bet here is number two. And Winter Fairy is voted two. Anyone else can pop in and vote as well. I'll go with the majority or I will make decisions. We all know how much I hate to make decisions by myself. Please don't make me. Pretty please. Going two then. Surely Julia can follow my reasoning about why it's good for the city. You have studied the innermost feelings of the citizens of Florence using magic. That's all this machine does. It's a soothsayer, but a more efficient one. It's a tool, and what matters is how it's used. Julia considers. I suppose I could reserve judgment. You're glad to not have lost a friend and possibly a chance for a relationship other than friendship. Would you be interested in such a relationship down the road with Julia? Are we interested or are we not? At this point, I think Julia, out of all of the, well, maybe Dangerous is still higher. I don't know. Let's find out. Fiametta, not even in the running anymore. She angry. Dangerous, 51%. Julia, 46. Yeah, the only person we can possibly get away with anything is Dangerous Clement, and she's not happy with us right now. But saying yes, we're interested might push Julia up higher. She mad, but she's not so mad that she would turn us away as a friend. So, are we interested in possible future relationship with Bestie? Or are we not interested? What do you think, chat? We are running out of romance options very quickly right now. To kiss Julia or not to kiss Julia, that is the question. One, I guess. Not going to happen anytime soon, though. No, but it's, someday. Maybe. Hopefully. Maybe. Possibly. Winter Fairy, are you up for a possible relationship in future? She's my romantic friend. I will give her the choice. I know Miss Ma'am is fussing. Fuss, fuss, fuss. We're going to say we're interested. Let's go. For tonight, you will leave it here. You will leave it there, but you're glad the door hasn't closed. Thank you, you say. Give it and me a chance. Was there anything else? Yeah, nobody's happy with us right now. We have made so many choices that they don't agree with. But to a certain degree, I actually think we are being honest about it, which is interesting. Julia shakes her head. Sometimes I don't feel that I know you anymore. Always was, Julia. Well, don't forget you have friends, Julia says, and I hope you remember who they are when your life changes tomorrow. And with that, Julia's gone into the night. And that is the end of chapter 7 or chapter 9. Sorry, chapter 9. We're way before that. So, how did that change our no, didn't change anything. This system sometimes is very like the way the writing goes, you are certain that a relationship should go up or down in some manner, and then it doesn't. And I'm like, but why? That choice could have easily affected that relationship, but why not? That is my only niggle about this story, this particular story. But here we are at chapter 10. I usually go over the stats, but we've been kind of referencing them, and not a lot has changed. We still have this stuff at basically neutral. Our resources are crap. The work has been done. Nothing in our magic stats have changed. Nothing in our skills stats have changed. Our traits are roughly where they've been for a while. Our humanism is up higher now. That's basically all that's really changed. In fact, our goodwill has gone down. Misanthropy has gone up. That's annoying. I don't even know what caused that. Arg. And then the relationships are we've been checking them and they've been all over the place. So yeah, this is where we're at. It's all crazy. Time for rebirths. This is, I believe, the last chapter of the story. We're in it for the ending now. So, the morning of Michaelmas, the 29th day of September, dawns a little chilly. What pronouns feel most comfortable today, chat? Are we a he, him, a she, her, or a they, them, as always? 1, 2, or 3. He, she, they. You tell me. Winter Fairy starts off the vote with 3. Trav starts off with an impossible vote of 4. I think that Lord God of Secrets seems best, so they them in full capitals. Well, they them it is. You always make me giggle, Trav. I love it. Autumn is in the air, and when you open your window, there's mist rising off the Arno, although the sun will soon burn it away. Today is the feast of St. Michael and the war in heaven. Will it be a day of victory for you as well? What does victory mean to you? You lean out of your window and breathe in. What things might be possible? You've tried your best to master animation and soothsaying over the last week. Perhaps that's not all you could do. No matter what happens today, you begin a new chapter and you could seek out and perfect new forms of magic. What would you like to explore? Would we like to be able to transport ourselves through time and space? Would we like to be able to summon fire and ice with our hands? Or, like last time, would we like to be able to protect ourselves from and others from harm? 1, 2, or 3. Transport, summon, protect. What grand workings of magic do we want to go for in our future? Indeed, Trav. Indeed. Being able to transfer ourselves through time and space would be very handy. I can get that for you by last Tuesday. Looks like the ones have it. Transporting ourselves through time and space it is. It ought to be possible. If you can change one substance to another with alchemy, and if you can move objects and bring them to life, then changing the substance and position of your own body is within the realm of theory, at least. Moving through time might be more challenging, but there are stories about it. You close the window, invigorated by the realization that there will always be work to do, and that you need no one's permission to do it. It's an oddly optimistic thought. All that could change today is where you do it, for whom and with whom. You trod downstairs and open the door to the workshop. For once, no one inside is working, although everyone is assembled. A few people nibble on bread and cherries. Someone takes your arm. Things of value. Angerouse, wearing a tiny cocked hat, a black velvet dress, and an impatient expression. She gestures vaguely in the direction of the piazza. We should talk about the machine that reared its ugly head in the piazza next door yesterday. You step in close. This machine is good for everyone, and especially good for criminals. Better that someone level headed be in charge of a machine like that if it has to exist, or let's find out what this machine can do for Florence before we pass judgment. 1, 2, or 3. How do we respond to Dangerous, Clement, the Queen of Thieves? One, I think, is the guile option. 2 is the reason option. 3, unsure. Possibly confidence. Could be a combination as well. Not entirely certain. The language does not give us away. give way to what we are actually have here, decision wise. Um, we actually have far more guile than reason, Winter Fairy. Just FYI. And seeing as Dangerous Clement is the queen of all the crime in the city, um, it's likely our best option is to side with her and she's in the loop. If we had more reason, I would say too, but I don't think we have enough reason for that. And the third one, I don't think we can pass at all. Is it one or two then? What is the vote here? Because we could try for two. I just think that gut feeling says that number one is the one we can actually pass. But it looks like the twos have it. I have been outvoted. Okay, then, guys. Better that someone level headed be in charge of the machine like that if it has to exist. You could use that argument to justify almost anything, she retorts. I'm not. I'm telling you that I don't see a world in which that machine or something like it won't ever be built. We have to face reality. Reality? Is that what you call your magical tricks? It's what I call the world we live in, as you know well enough. She shakes her head and looks away. The world is unfair, certainly, and you seem determined to make it more so. You open your mouth to protest, but she puts up her hand. Never mind, she says. Just tell me about my commission. I've had to make tough choices, you say. Surely you understand that. She lifts up her hand. Save it. You chose not to build the vault. Fine. There might have been a chance for something exciting between you and Dangerous, but she hasn't forgiven you for your choices. Dangerous is out. She's out. Let's see how mad she is. Oh, she mad. She's not quite as mad as Fiametta, but she mad. Guys, she mad. We just made the queen of the criminals of Florence mad at us. This is not going to go well. There's no going back now. At that moment, there's a commotion at the workshop's front door. The top members of the confraternity arrive, a half dozen men and women in black, red and black, with pointed beards or severely tight hair arrangements. At their head is Filippo Avido, the gray-bearded old descendant of salt merchants who tends to speak for the confraternity. It's just how it goes sometimes, Winter Fairy. Should have gone with option one, I told you. They are not alone. Behind them walk Judah Abravanel, Giovanni de Medici, Henrique of Congro, Lucrezia de Medici, and Alfonsina Orsini. They each have a few retainers with them. You see Julia in the little crowd, but you're not sure whether she is here with Lucrezia or Alfonsina or neither. Julia doesn't meet your gaze. Judah looks around, his eyes adjusting to the dim workshop. Good morning, he says. Henrique looks at a half-finished marble sculpture with interest. Alfonsina Orsini puts a fingertip on a dusty surface and examines it, while Lucrezia smiles in greeting at Andrea. Everyone knows Andrea, or thinks they do. The cardinal looks dyspeptic. The business of governing Florence seems to be causing him anxiety. Soon enough, he'll be governing the Vatican, if the rumors are to be believed. It's an impressive assemblage of the great and sometimes good of Florence. But you have a secret, a powerful secret. Good morning, you say, approaching. You've all come about a reckoning. Yeah, eccentric soothsaying is not the best route. Well, it's a route. It's perhaps not the best combination of a route. The members of the confraternity lean forward, watching you. You will have to disappoint two of your clients to some extent. That can't be helped. But disappointing clients is part of the job of being the master of the workshop. What will matter to the confraternity is how you handle it. Soon after the master died, we learned of 5 commissions he had undertaken in secret, you say, and these were in addition to the daily tasks of the workshop and the ongoing projects we had in hand. This was unlike him, Piero breaks in. He was distracted by something. His grin is dark and desperate. In any case, we had to deal with it, Fiametta breaks in abruptly. The confraternity looks to you. What do we say? We had to make choices as any leaders must. The master left us with impossible commitments. We could have completed 5 commissions in as many days. They would have been bad. Yeah, charming alchemy did work out decently. Could have been better, could have been worse. Um, there's definitely a build that will make certain things easier and a build that will make certain things more difficult. Well, I think that number one has to do with confidence. We don't have the confidence. Number two, I'm not entirely certain. Like, I'm not exactly certain what traits are tied to these 3 responses. Um, 3, I think, is reason. 2 might, uh, not entirely certain. Winter Fairy has started the vote with 1. Usually I can pick out what is tagged to which responses. This is one of those that I am entirely uncertain because the writing does not lend me to what is behind the scenes. 3 is funny. Look, we did 3. Only 2 of them are bad. Yes, 1 seems reasonable. Okay, looks like the ones have it. We had to make decisions as any leader must. We knew that we could not complete 5 such commissions in just a few days, you continue. So we chose to do what we could do well. We worked on some of the commissions. The cardinal steps forward. Now then, we are all very curious to know what has been done and what has not. You clear your throat. 3 commissions are complete. I assume my commission is among those you saw fit to complete, Alfonsina says coldly. You assume so much, sister-in-law, Lucrezia mutters. The weapon. If you'll come with me, my lady, Angelo says to Alfonsina, your commission is ready in the back. Alfonsina sweeps forward, and the little crowd follows behind. The catapult crouches, as if ready and waiting. Seeing it here in the light streaming through the window, you can see that it's not as ambitious in scope and design as it could be with a team that wasn't sure it was doing the right. Alfonsina's face suggests the first impression leaves her cold. You turn to Alfonsina and ask, will you tell me what you want for it, my lady? Would you like me to give it a name, my lady, or are there any other weapons you'd like to see us try? 2 or 3? Winterfairy starts off the vote with 2. Would you like me to give it a name? What does the rest of chat think? 2. Get her invested. All right, we'll try 2. She grins. A name! What a wonderful idea. Why don't you choose the name? We can choose Stonecracker, Creek Creep, Coward's Bane, Wallbreaker, or we could even make up our own name in chat. Stonecracker, Creaker Creep, Coward's Bane, Wallbreaker, unique. Dragon says Coward's Bane. What does the rest of chat think? Winterfairy agrees. The 3s currently have it. 4, call it what it is. Those walls are screwed. Wall breaker. I mean, it will break walls, yeah. But sadly, the 3s have it, so Coward's Bane it is. How does it work? Alfonsina asks. Angelo explains. It scatters seeds that grow vines that break apart the stones. Well, at least it won't be a great loss if it's set on fire during a battle. We can demonstrate it if you like, Angelo says. Alfonsina nods, and your team wheels a small wall into position, once you'd prepared beforehand for this purpose. The catapult sends an impressive scattering of seeds directly at the wall, covering it without wasting any. They land and immediately sprout vines that pull on the stones like eager fingers. Before anyone can even utter a word, the stones crack and tumble to the floor. Alfonsina claps, and everyone in the workshop follows suit. Alfonsina hands you 3 florins. purse. My lady, here is the purse you ordered, says Luigi, stepping forward with pride. Lucrezia takes the purse and looks it over. Purple is one of my favorite colors, she says. How do we respond? Perhaps Florence could loosen the sumptuary laws and see more beautiful colors in its streets, which is what I believe we said last time. Something similar could be used to give the poor a basic income, or we might be able to make something similar to test a person's loyalty to Florence itself. This one I do understand uh, what is being asked. The first one is Medici reputation. The second one is the people of Florence's reputation, and the third one is confraternity reputation. Actually, flip those. The first one is guild reputation, confraternity reputation. The third one is Medici reputation. My apologies. In fact, let's see what this has changed. Nothing. Alfonsina Orsini is very happy, though. Okay. But this is definitely a reputation up. So, confraternity guild, guild reputation, people reputation, or Medici reputation. Winter Fairy says Medici. 2 or 3, chat. What will it be? The vote has already started with the Medici. What does the rest of chat think? Trav says 3 sounds seriously risky, but it does go well with the machine. It does indeed go well with the machine. We have a solid amount of respect from the people of Florence. We have a new respect from the confraternity, but we do have a card for them. Siding with the Medici might be the way to go here. Tyranny ho. Looks like the 3s have it then. We might be able to make something similar to test a person's loyalty to Florence itself. So you might, she says, arching a brow. Such a device would have to be in trusted hands. She says nothing further, and you drop it. Let us see how well this performs, Lucrezia says. She walks through the crowd of hangers-on and stops at Julia. This is a purse that tests loyalty. Let's see what the purse gives to you, Julia. Julia takes it, looks at you nervously, and opens it. The purse opens. She roots around the purse for a moment, then sighs with relief and pulls out a large golden florin. Lucrezia also sighs. The purse seems a little confused, but I'm glad you are not. This has told me that your heart is true. I suspect Principia's influence has been beneficial to you. All those conversations you've had of late. I am so grateful, Principia, for that, and for the purse. Alfonsina scowls at you. Julia bites down on the coin, jokingly. It's sound, it seems. The Philosopher's Stone did its work. Lucrezia takes the florin and hands it to you, then gestures for a courtier who opens another purse and gives you 2 more. Your pay. Ooh, I wonder what that has changed. Let's see here. Oh, she's lower. They both now like you an equal amount, but it's still solid. It's still a solid amount. Interesting. You really should pick one or the other. On to the flying machine. You chose a moment when the conversations have rippled out. With the snap of your fingers, you activate the flying machine. Yep, she's a democracy person. Henrique is the first person whose head turns at the sound. There's a whirling sound from the screw-top sail, but not loud enough to drown out the gasps. Well, that's not what I imagined, but it certainly worked. It lands on the ground and he walks around it, appraising. It's not pretty up close, he says, but who among us is that? Who among us is? Angelo steps forward proudly. Your Highness, if you would like to try it now, we can take it outside to the street. A guard steps forward, concerned, but the prince raises his hand to quiet the guard. I'd be delighted. I see there is only room for one, Henrique says. At least I know I won't cause harm to anyone but myself. You smile in a way that you hope is just enough to acknowledge the dry joke without seeming nervous. You help him into the bottom of the machine. And I can fly anywhere in the city with this. Where do we suggest he goes? Do we suggest he goes over the Duomo to see the great cathedral from above? Do we suggest he goes to the top of the bell tower of Palazzo Signora? Or do we suggest he goes across the Arno, crossing the river as easily as a bird? Um, one of these is tied to faith, and he is a faith person. He is attempting to become a bishop, after all, or at least studying to be a bishop. One of these is possibly a order, and the other one is something else. I'm not entirely certain. We don't have a lot of faith, just FYI, Winter Fairy, but I don't think that we can necessarily go very wrong here. Not sure. 1, 2, or 3. Cathedral, bell tower, or river. Winter Fairy has started off with 1. What does the rest of chat think? 1, 2, or 3? Guess the ones have it. Yep, if it breaks, he'll still have a good view. It's not going to break. Oh, even Dragon weighed in. Awesome, guys. That's the whole chat. Ones have it. We're going over the Great Cathedral. All right, I'll trust your judgment, he says with a smile. The machine rises gently into the sky, and passers-by react with a mixture of annoyance and respect for this latest experiment. People who live near any of Florence's workshops are used to magicians doing foolish things. It soars over the roof of the city, a shape in wood and leather against the blue sky. The prince holds firmly to the straps that hold him, but he doesn't seem nervous. In fact, he's smiling. He looks perfectly comfortable and pulls on the straps to guide the machine over the rooftops of the city. He flies the machine towards the great dome of the cathedral. You can hear the gasps of townsfolk as they watch Henrique soar over their heads. If only you could have flown with him. He guides it to the ground and lands lightly with a few running steps. It may be ugly, but it works, he says. He hands you 3 shiny new florins. Oof, we got paid so much money. So much money. I'm afraid we couldn't start yet, you say. Judas stares at you. You disappoint me. I thought my business would merit at least some sort of effort. The head of the confraternity, Filippo Avido, steps forward. The sign of a good master is not just the ability to good work out of the apprentices, but to ensure that no client leaves unsatisfied. And here we have 3 aspiring masters, Piero del Volpe, Fiammetta Mazzi, and Principia de Firenze. Fiammetta steps forward. We hold our clients in the highest esteem and will only give them the best work in Florence. We will never rush a shoddy job to save ourselves time and effort. Piero steps beside her. We walk in our master's footsteps, and our clients can be sure that we will treat them with as much honor as he did. We will be forthright with them, with you. He looks at Alfonsina, Henrique, Judah, and Lucrezia, and even glances at Dangerous, who's leaning against a far wall watching. And what do you say, Principia? This is your chance to show the confraternity you can deal with clients well. Do we show that we're confident that our clients need us as much as we need them? Do we try to impress them with our artistic temperament? Or do we pretend that our clients need us more than we need them? Confidence, artistry, or guile. There's probably a trait mixed in with some of that as well, but I'm not entirely certain on traits. Our guile is actually the highest. So 3 is probably our best option, but 1, 2, or 3, confident, artistic, or pretend. Yes, I hate them all too. But we have to try. 1, 2, or 3. What will it be? Please chat. Please tell me. The rhyme was intentional. Winter Fairy says 3? Question mark? Rest of chat, think. 1, 2, or 3? What will it be? Please chat, tell me. Well, 3 it is then. Winter Fairy's the only one who has spoken. We'll see how well this goes. I say, my friends, that we are always happy to put any of you into our schedule. Of course, with the amount of work we have, sometimes there is a wait, but I think you'll agree it's worth it. You sound so convincing that you almost believe it yourself. Judah looks mollified. Dangerous gives you a reluctant, lopsided grin. We did it. We convinced them. We lied our ass off. Another member of the confraternity steps forward. Very well. Clients are not the only people a master must consider. The apprentices must be able to work for and learn from a master, so the confraternity will consider the feelings of the apprentices on this matter. Have you consulted among yourselves? Luigi steps forward. We have, and we thank you all for this chance. Piero, Fiammetta, and Principia have taken on many duties since the master died, and we have had a chance to learn from them all. Each of them has asked to be considered for the position of sole master, and we respect that that is their choice. The members of the confraternity glance at each other, and Avido says, Yes, I understand. Continue. There is no consensus, so whatever the confraternity chooses will be in accordance with some of the apprentices. Are we angry at the betrayal? Do we appreciate their honesty and dedication, or do we wish we'd done better to earn their respect? Honestly, I think 2 is probably our best bet here, but I don't know. We should have paid for a pizza evening, but alas, we were broke. Trav says, starts off the vote with 3. We wish we'd done better to earn their respect. Winter Fairy says 2. Does Dragon want to weigh in and break the current tie between 2 and 3? He is welcome to do so, although I know he is currently doing things. Fun things, I'm assuming. Two. The 2s have it. We appreciate the apprentice's honesty and dedication. All right, let's do it. They were asked their opinion and they gave it. You can't fault them for that. We thank you all, Avita says. The confraternity will take a few minutes to deliberate before we make our decision. If the esteemed clients would like to stay to hear, perhaps the apprentices could find some refreshment to make them comfortable. Waiting for judgment. While the apprentices bustle around fetching wine and bread, you and Piero and Fiammetta go into the master's study to give the confraternity some time to deliberate without you overhearing. Fiammetta paces, and Piero draws a finger through the dust that's already accumulated since the last time you were in this room. What do you think they'll decide? Piero asks. No matter what they decide, Fiammetta says, no doubt Principia will use their infernal machine to cheat their way to the top and then run the workshop as they see fit. No doubt, you confirm with a smile. Since one is cheating to use magic and ingenuity, or I care about this workshop and the apprentices, and I want their respect. Yes, I am well aware of what you're playing, Dragon. I pay attention to my Discord. Hey, so will Piero. So, 1, 2, or 3. Do we agree with Fiammetta? Do we ask or call her out on her bullshit? Or do we say that we care? Because in truth, we have always cared. We have tried so hard to care. Winter Fairy says number 3. That's the vote. 1, 2, or 3. Confirm magic workshop. Trav also says 3. That's fair. It looks like the 3s have it. So we're going with 3. We care about this workshop and the apprentices, and I want their respect. But you don't need it, Piero retorts. Not now. Now you can do whatever you want. You can hear the part of the workshop as they chatter among themselves and wait for the decision. This may be simple flirtation without much behind it, but maybe there's more there than you realize. How do you feel about Fiammetta? Are you interested in exploring a relationship with her? Are we interested in Fiammetta? Are we not interested in either of them? Or are we not interested in Fiammetta? And I want to work with the apprentices. Winter Fairy says 2. We are not interested in either Piero or Fiammetta. Notice how we don't have an I'm interested in Piero option at this point. They don't like us. Let's not waste our time with either of them. All right. We were interested in Fiammetta, but Chad has decided she's too crazy. They don't like us anymore, therefore we don't like them. Oh, if only my heart works like that in real life, but that's not how it works for me. All right, we're not interested in either of them anymore. The chat has made their decision. I will bow to it. Dragon said 1. Oh, I'm sorry, Dragon, but you've been outvoted. Your smile is friendly. I can give you friendship and support, both of you. Fiammetta laughed shortly. Fair enough, Principia. The door opens and Stefano, the apprentice, bursts in, looking flustered. Have they decided? Piero asks. Not yet, but the apprentices want to settle up. Fair enough, says Fiammetta, and touches the secret knot in the wall where the workshop hides its money. For the week's work, the apprentices are due 6 soldi apiece. That comes to 1 florin and 3 lira total for them. Piero, Principia, and I get 3 lira each, or 60 soldi apiece. Here's yours, Principia, and yours, Piero. And here's some to cover the expenses you incurred, Principia, Piero says. Stefano goes out, and a few minutes later, Francesca bursts in. They're ready, she says. How much money did we just get? We have 4 lira and 11 soldi, and the workshop now has 5 florins, 5 lira, and 4 soldi. It is out of supplies, which we will have to spend money on, but we have money now, so that's fine. We could have used that money way, way sooner, but oh well. Reading the crowd. The workshop is buzzing with whispers as the 3 of you walk out and into the large common area, and all faces turn to you. And this is the moment of judgment. No matter what they say, you know who you are and what you deserve. Isn't knowing yourself, after all, the end point of all study? You dance to your own song and make your own art. It's so hard to know what to say at moments like this. Anything you say will appeal to some of those present, but not others. You try to predict what will work with this crowd, using the rhetorical skills you've learned from classical texts, and your common touch, and your ability to adapt to other moods. Studying classical texts has taught you that the Medici will be concerned with the ambitious master. You naturally adapt your own thoughts about the situation to what the confraternity wants, someone who respects their authority. Who knows what the common people are thinking, but you can make a guess. So what will you say? Which elements of the crowd are you likely to respond to which elements of the crowd are likely to respond to which sentiment? We are humbled to be given this opportunity is definitely a confraternity bend. In a crowd and we stand ready to receive it is the people, and whatever the decision, we will honor it, which is the Medici. Currently, our reputations are the people are highest. Medici and the workshop are slightly below that, but the workshop does not necessarily matter, and we've gained a tiny bit of confraternity. Looks like everyone wants to go with the Medici choice again, which is, I believe, what we did last time. Whatever the decision, we will honor it. Avito and the other members of the confraternity nod curtly. Avito holds up his hand for silence. We have considered the wishes of the apprentices and our own appraisal of the candidates. We have taken into account the reputations of each of the 3 candidates among the common people and their standing among the city's most respected families. By most respected families, of course, he means the Medici. You stand next to Piero and Fiammetta and exchange sportsmanlike nods with each of them as you wait to see which of you will be chosen. It feels strange to stand beside Piero knowing he chose to build the machine, knowing that no matter what happens now, he will use it to gain power in Florence. All you can do at this moment is wait for the confraternity to decide between you. The decision. Dun dun dun! The apprentices have made their feelings known, and those feelings give us pause, says the young woman, a member of the confraternity. We are not convinced that Principia would make a good master, Ovidio says, but if Principia can find three respected people here present to vouch for their character, people who are not associated with the workshop, we could be persuaded. You look around the room. There's Julia, Cardinal Giovanni, Judah, Henrique, Alfonsina, Lucrezia. Andrea is associated with the workshop, so they're out. Piero and Fiammetta are definitely associated with the workshop, but nobody knows your capabilities better. So, do we use our secret weapon? Do we select three people who will vouch for us, like we did last time? Or are we happy to not run the workshop anyway? No, I actually think that if you get all the votes from, like, if you have high enough reputation with at least all four factions, I think we get it. But we've never had that happen. We've never made the choices we need to make that happen, I think. I don't actually know if it's possible, but it's possible that we always have to go this route. Winter Fairy says to not run the workshop anyway. We do actually have three people that could vouch for us. Interestingly enough, we have Alfonsina, Lucrezia, and Henrique, who are all of high enough reputation or high enough relationship with us that we could get that vote again. We could do it. We could use the Monticello's secret weapon. Or we could just say, we don't need to be in charge. Piero can be in charge. We're fine with that. Winter Fairy says, happy not to run the workshop anyway. Winter Fairy's mad. But we sided with the Monticello, Winter Fairy. You got outvoted by me. Horrible, ridiculous me. We're kind of in. We don't have to use the weapon, but we could. Looks like we're going with number 3. All right, then. I'm glad you still like me, Winter Fairy. Even though I'm evil. I guess we're happy not to run the workshop anyway. Avito clears his throat. The new master of the workshop will be Piero de Volpe. Piero turns his eyes on you, bright as a wolf, before accepting. Everyone congratulates no one. While you nod graciously and consider your options. You can stay on as an assistant, help to shape the future of this workshop. But you have other options. You don't have to stay on in the workshop at all. If you had more money, you could start your own workshop in the city, but that would take at least 8 florins to rent a suitable place, pay for some apprentices, and buy the supplies, and you don't have enough money. You could leave Florence altogether and travel, making your leave on your own, like Leonardo da Vinci did a few years ago. So, do we want to leave Florence and travel on our own or with one person? Or do we want to stay in the workshop as an assistant? Aw, Winter Fairy, you're so sweet. I'm glad you adore me. But you want to leave Florence and travel on our own. All right, independent contractor work is what we've decided. We're leaving Florence. Fuck Florence. You can go, so you'll start with one of the nearby Italian cities. You can advise kings and princes, or conduct experiments in the wilderness, or just wander and learn from everyone you meet. But you have some business to tie up here first. You leave the workshop and walk through the seats of Florence. It's a gray, soft morning and strangely quiet, the air heavy as though the weather is about to change. After all this time trying to convince other people of who you are, it's just you and your city. No one will judge you now on what you think in your own private heart of this place, your home. The machine has more useful secrets to harvest. Do we think that Florence is frankly a nest of vipers? That the real Florence is potential, ideal, and notional? Or do we love every bit, from the top of the Duomo to the dubious puddles in the alleys? We picked 2 last time. Or at least I picked 2. but I guess it is a nest of vipers. And Winter Fairy has decided that. Rest of chat think. Note, however Piero will use the machine, we have decided not to be around it, or maybe we will be. I don't know. It's hard to say. We are now invested in the machine in some way, but I'm not sure how traveling out of Florence will work with that. Yeah, frankly, Florence is a nest of vipers. It is. The only way to really appreciate the city is to accept it for what it is. It's smart and dangerous. A city bathed in light is a city full of deep shadows and never dull. The city is in many ways a member of your family, and no matter what happens, family is family. You have to you have to see your mother and tell her everything that's happened in the workshop today. As you approach the sign of the hanged man, it starts to swing just slightly, although there is no breeze. And your mother opens the door and comes out looking as though she was expecting you, which of course she probably was. As so often happens with conversations with your mother, you wonder what's worth saying aloud. Stella looks at you sadly. You've made a decision that I can't support, working with that creature. I don't like it, Principia. I know, but it is better to be feared than to be loved, if I can't be both. Machiavelli taught me that. Better for a prince. You're not a prince. You haven't asked me about the confraternity's decision, Mother. Is that because you already know? She gives you an inscrutable look, so you sigh and tell her. I'm leaving Florence tonight. Her face goes white. Leaving Florence? I want to see new places and try things, like Leonardo. I'll come home and I'll tell you all about the kings and popes and adventures I meet, and there will be many of them. I'll bring you back a one present. She looks worried. I can't see the future for you, Principia, not even a glimpse. You take her shoulders gently in your hands. Most of us can't see our futures. That's why we walk into them, like explorers. I'll be home soon enough. Farewell to Florence. The shadows are getting long, and it will be time for you to leave soon. You can stay the night at Machiavelli's outside the city walls, so you need not worry about walking over open land in the dark. But first, you must decide whether you want to go alone or take someone with you. You lean over a wall and gaze into the glittering Arno, besides a clump of wild daisies. There's an old soothsaying trick that uses flower petals to gauge whether someone feels warmly about you. You've managed to keep Julia on your side despite your decision regarding the machine. You didn't drive Piero away, and he's not the master. That's weird. He is the master. What in the world? Something didn't click there. There's broken code at the back. But apparently, we can choose between Piero, Julia, or just go our own way. As an understanding, Piero only moderately likes us. Like, our bestie only moderately likes us a slight bit more. Neither of them is going to come with us. Weird. Winter Fairy says, let's just go our own way. Yes, Trav is correct. Machiavelli did not teach that. Clearly, someone did not read what Machiavelli wrote or didn't understand it. Julia has a solid job here, and Piero just took over the workshop. Yeah, we're not taking either of them. They would not even come with us. I don't know what this book is, this adventure story is saying. We're just gonna go our own way. You can go anywhere in the world, but you'll have to choose one of the major roads out of the city. To start with, one of the roads out of the city to start with. Milan has been long ruled by the French, but the Swiss recently ousted the French and installed Maximilian Sforza, a 16-year-old son of the last duke. It's a time of transition, and Leonardo da Vinci is in Milan now. Last you heard, he was working on an enormous equestrian statue. Or there's Venice, where Judah Abravanel will soon return. Venice has been part of the Holy League bent on driving the French out of Italy, but lately, you hear, the Republic has been quarreling with the Pope about the spoils. You've heard about an exciting new painter called Titian there. But perhaps you'd rather go south, towards Rome. Michelangelo is in Rome, although you've heard rumors he'll be coming back to Florence now that the Medici family is in control here again. You can go your own way indeed, Winter Fairy. So, do we go towards Milan and Leonardo? Do we go towards Venice and Judah Bravenel? Or do we go towards Rome where Michelangelo is? One, two, or three? Milan, Venice, or Rome? Milan, Venezia, or Rome? Let's go meet Leonardo. I do love me some Leonardo. I got to see some of his sketches once in a museum. Pretty amazing. To Leonardo Milan. Also, the Sforza family is very interesting in Italian history as well, if anyone is interested. The road north will take you through Bologna and Parma up to the shadow of the Alps. Once you leave the city, you can hire a horse or donkey, or both if you like, and take odd jobs as you go. Those are decisions for tomorrow. Tonight, you walk through the city gates at sunset and arrive that he has been expecting you. Epilogue. In the year following your master's death, the wars continue in Italy, and Florence tries to find stable ground. The workshop. Not long after the master's death, Cardinal Giovanni de' Medici becomes Pope Leo X, and he condemns the upstart Martin Luther from Rome. At home in Florence, Alfonsina Orsini manages to maneuver her son into power, in fact, if not in name. Then, when her son goes off to war in 1515, Alfonsina takes over rule of the city herself, and for a few years, everything done in Florence is done by the order of the magnificent Lady Alfonsina. Lucrezia continues to argue for a more democratic government. Over the coming decades, Florence will go back and forth between republics and former rule by Medici. A few months after the master's death, Niccolo Machiavelli is accused of conspiracy and tortured by being hung from his bound wrists. Eventually, they let him go, and he retires to his country house to write. You learn this from rumors on the road, the way you hear most news from Florence from time to time. You send letters back when you can. One day, perhaps, you'll return to the place where you learned to be a magician and an artist. But for now, the world is your workshop. The end. We have finished the story for a second time. How would we rate it from 1 to 10? How likely are we to recommend it to a friend? Chat. I have voted last time, but since I have more people paying attention to what from 0 to 10, what would you say? How likely are you to recommend this particular story to your friends? As we all know, I highly recommend any choice of games story. I think they do a very good job. This one has a few niggles in it, but overall, it's very fairly solid piece of work, and I have enjoyed the story twice. There are so many things left to do in this story that we have never done. So Winter Fairies decided on a 10, which agrees with my assessment. Seeing as I am sharing it with all of you, obviously. If you would like to try your hand at the Magician's Workshop, you are welcome to do so. You can find it on Steam, which is where I'm running it from, or you can buy a Steam code off the choiceofgames.com website. And you can even play the first 4 chapters of this story for free there. So you can mess with all the early decisions and see where it goes. The game is not that expensive at all. And Choice of Games has a very solid repertoire of many, many genres. This is only one of them. We have played, this is a historical fantasy, historical, definitely historical fantasy because the people of this story were real once upon a time. But we have in the past played The Mystery of Baroque, which is sort of science fiction horror mix of a genre that evokes things like writing that evokes things like Barsoom and Frankenstein and all of those things, which is very very fun. Before that, we played with Weirwood, which is very much a styled in the Regency era of English writing, very Jane Austen style, but twisted fantasy, magical bent in it, just like, well, similar to this one, but with a different flavor entirely. Very much more of evoking that of more traditional English magic writing, which is very interesting. So this is three different genres of novel that we have played in Choose Your Adventure style. Um, and they have more. They have so much more. So we didn't end up making our own workshop. We also did not end up in charge of the workshop ourselves. We also did not decide to go full evil in this one and just side with the Monticello from the get-go. Very interesting, very interesting. There are so many more things to do, but we did get a new achievement. We managed to finish 3 commissions and deliver 3 completed commissions to the clients by Michaelmas. As you can see, there are many more achievements, still 13 more to try for this story that we have not accomplished. There is, I do not believe, a single build that will give you all of the achievements in one run. So there are parts of this story that we have never seen before, builds that we have never made, choices that we have never done. If you would like to make any of those choices, please, please, please buy this game, play it, enjoy it, send it to your friends. But that wraps up the Magician's Workshop and my stream for that matter. So to that end, chat, we have a decision to make. Let me just change up something here. Give me one moment. So we have new things. We have the Eagle's Heir that we could begin for the rest of the week. Defend Napoleon's heir in the steampunk alternate history game of political maneuvering, airship adventure, and romantic intrigue. Will you bring liberty to France or plunge Europe into bloody war? We also have MetaHuman Inc. As the CEO of a corporation that sells superpowers to the highest bidder, you'll harness dark magic and travel through time to inflate your stock prices. Lastly, we have Tally Ho. Only a perfect servant can solve a perfect mess. Being the perfect gentleman's gentleman, or lady's lady, or person's person doesn't make you an angel. Can you entangle your employer's naughtiest problems with elegance and unruffled grace? You may notice that I added person's person in there. I also have Stardew Valley. We can bum around in the farm that I have for the rest of the week and start a story next week instead. I've even played a little bit offline and done some fussing about the things, getting things set up, getting things started, just so that I can, bum around the farm without too much trouble. But we could play Stardew Valley if we'd like, or I've picked up a new game, Road Warren. I've only dabbled in it a little bit. This is less a choose your own adventure, but it is very much an adventure story. I would have to read the majority of it, but this one would come with graphics. We haven't done a game with graphics. And this one would be a far more complex thing than any of our choice of games or 80 days when we were playing 80 days. So I could play Road Warden either from where I already have a save, or we could start anew, and I could play this until we come to the conclusion, which I do not know how long will take. We could simply just do whatever we want in this one. So that is what we have available to us. Trav has mentioned Tally Ho, that we could start Tally Ho. Winter Fairy is like, new game, the excitement of new game. So we have Eagle's Air, Metahuman Inc., Tally Ho, Stardew Valley for a few days just to be chill and chat and hang out and be doing whatever, or Road Warden, which is a brand new style of game, very much more in the style of an old school TTRPG sort of mix, but I will be reading, I promise. Road Warden is an illustrated text-based RPG that uses isometric pixel art and combines mechanics borrowed from RPGs, visual models, adventure games, and interactive fiction. So that is why I have added it into this mix. So chat, what do you want me to do for the rest of the week? A new story? Chill chat with Stardew Valley, or Road Warden? Either a new game or pick up where I'm already at, just because I wanted to see how it played. Dragon, you're not helping. I'm happy to do any of the above. Like, choice of games has been happy for me. Bring in viewers, but it has made me very happy. I have not had, as a former file, I have not been able to read nearly as I would like in life, and it does allow me to share stories with the people that come to my stream, and I've been enjoying it. Stardew Valley is still far the most popular game I have in my repertoire at this time. We could make some new friends in our chat, and if I play Stardew, if we get the word, I'm bopping around on a farm, not doing whatever chill thing that we want to do that day. Road Warden will definitely be a different style of game entirely. I've played enough that I know that I could feasibly play it on stream and it would be fun. I would talk a lot more, I should say, Road Warden, and still chat would be able to help me make choices along the way. So it's really a matter of what would chat like to see. You guys are my regulars. You show up almost every day. I love and adore all of you, so I want you guys to have a part of that decision making. As much as it is my stream, you guys are here to have fun with me. So what would you guys like? Please tell me. Discuss among. We currently have a vote for Tally Ho. We currently have a vote for Road Warden. We currently have a vote for whatever, so long as I'm talking. I have so many things, guys. So many things. What will it be? Winter Fairy is doubling down on new game. Okay. I guess that leaves it up to Trav. Road Warden? Will you be happy to check out Road Warden with the rest? As I said, it is a illustrated text-based RPG. So, all right, cool. We will start the week off with Road Warden. Now here comes down to a choice that matters. Do we start a new game, or do we just continue where I have already started? No, not knowing the setup or anything like that. I mean, I could just play and then we can decide on whatever we do next week on Friday. Or I can start this and seriously play it all the way to its end with all of you. What would you guys like? To just check it out and see what I've been up to in it, or do you guys want to see the story all the way through? This will take us possibly weeks and weeks. I have no idea how long this game actually is. Road Warden has actually gotten some honorable mention awards too in some categories, so that's pretty good. And it is overwhelmingly positive on Steam. It's pretty good. Yep, 30 hours. It's gonna be a long. It's gonna be weeks to weeks, depending on how we make our way and how often we futz around. That isn't to say that, like, if we're clicking through screens, I will read everything, but I will read the majority of things. So there may be far more discussions involved on what we do in this game. So, chat. Are we just going to bop around in this game to see what I've been up to, or are we starting from the beginning and playing until we finish? That is the choice. Please tell me, what do you guys think? From the beginning, says Winter Fairy. She wants to see all the things. All right. From the beginning, it will be. We will do the thing. So tomorrow we start with Road Warden, and we will start from the beginning and we will play until we finish, and then we will move on from there. So, chat, thank you for joining me in the stream. I've already checked. There's nobody to raid. Not even Dragon is streaming at the moment. Boo-hoo. Unless Dragon has somebody he suggests I raid right now. I'll raid one of his friends. Sure. But yeah. We will start with Road Warden tomorrow until it is done. However long that lasts. Bring your friends, bring your snacks, bring your drinks. I will see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern US time, whatever that time zone is for you. You guys can look it up. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for Road Warden. All right, guys. Bye.